I'm gonna walk you through my exact content strategy that helps me get consistent and predictable inbound lead flow without having to post an insane amount of content. In fact, it takes me about 3 to 4 hours a week to actually implement this system. Now, what I'm kind of about to do is tell you to post every day and share massive value, right? Because we're living in this era now to where, per Google Analytics, there is 1.1 billion posts being published every day on the internet, which is insane. That's freaking insane if you think about it. And there's something like 602 million posts being published every minute or something along those lines. Nonetheless, information is a commodity. There is a ton of it being thrown at us at every single second of the day. And so if you are out there and you're like, dude, like things aren't working as well as they were maybe just a year ago, 2 years ago. You're posting content, you're trying to follow the trends, you're sharing tons of value out there to people, but you're not getting consistent and predictable lead flow coming in. Or maybe you are getting leads, but finding like a quality lead is like finding a needle in a haystack. If that is you, I'm going to walk you through what's working well for me, and then I'm teaching to my clients because I do what I teach and I teach what I do. Think about that for a second. Now, I'm going to share with you this cheat sheet, and if you want this cheat sheet, it will be in or around this video somewhere. It is in this video, but you can like download the link for free if you would like to. Now, before we dive into this, quick story. The year was, just kidding. So it was for real though. So in 2019, I launched my first online fitness business. And this was I coming to the end of my gym, owning a gym. So we were trying to sell a gym. Long story short, we almost sold it. I had grown it over the course of about 7 years. We had massive success, massive failure, then massive success again. That deal fell through because of COVID came right at the beginning of 2020, as we all know. And so I needed to really make my online fitness business work because I was like, all right, I'm not going to have a gym anymore. And so I was just going crazy. I was literally going live every day, Monday through Sunday. I was posting like mad. Like sometimes I was posting 3-4 times a day on top of a live video. And it was insane. And it was working. It worked really well. But during those times, you think about from 2020 into 2021, people were just on their phones. They didn't know what else to do, right? Everybody was trapped at home. And so it freaking crushed. And I kept trying that strategy going into mid 2021, late 2021. And it just started to fade. It stopped working as well. The algorithms adjusted to a lot more content creation and people's attention spans shrunk right down to like they just wanted to see like reels into short form, and the dopamine hit started they needed more and more. And so that strategy of just post tons of content stopped working a few years ago for me, at least. And so I was like, damn, I need to figure out a different way, because at the time things were so like, there would be 1 month we'd be at like 27,000 cash. The next month we'd be at 5,000 cash. And because we were solely relying on new clients. So we were constantly trying to get calls booked. We had a short-term program at the time. It was a 90-day fat loss program. And so we were constantly churning and burning. And yeah, we had people that were sticking on the back end. We had a 50 to 60% renewal rate on the back end. And I was just a mess, man. I was just like, I want to find something more stable, consistent. How can I just get lead flow to come to me? And I can just convert a handful of clients every month, and I can work more on my back end so I can keep clients longer. And I was just beating my head against the wall. And then I remembered reading a book called Launch by this guy named Jeff Walker, and he's like the king of launches. I was like, I don't want to really do the launch model, but I was like, I wonder if I could take those same principles of doing less content, but really focusing in on my messaging, which I just released a video on messaging. So you could check it around here in the channel, dialing in my messaging, and then really getting people to see that message over and over again. Does that make sense? So I wanted to do less content, but get people to see more of the core message that I was trying to get them to see, that I knew would be influential, that I knew would persuade them, that I knew if they could just see this, it would get them over the edge. And so I ended up doing what I called back then, it was like a live series where I did a series of, I think it was like 3 videos over the course of a week. And I really focused on promoting those videos. So I didn't just go live. I created content that had a really good hook, a really good story and angle to it, and a great call to action. And I would get people to raise their hands. I started to get people to opt in. This was all organic, by the way. I did no ads with it. And I remember I got like 100 people interested, maybe give or take, in the hundreds. Or in the hundreds. It was in the low 100s. And I did the video and I ended up having 500 people watch it. Not bad, right? Yeah. And I ended up selling that month. I sold a little over $30,000 in cash. We signed up, it was like 10, 11 people or something like that. And I was like, dang. Because in those videos, I was focusing on sharing my core message, telling my story, right? Having a great call to action. And that's when I realized that less is more. And so that was like a massive moment for me that gave me this like insight and this clarity to really develop what I've now called we have the strategic content ecosystem, which I'll show you. And then I have what's called conversion content campaigns. And that kind of came from that one moment. And we mastered this thing. Literally, if you look, like there's people in the industry that have like literally just taken the idea that I created. And it's worked so well. But when you do this, it creates this invisible funnel, right? You can't always see the leads, but I'm going to show you how you know they're there and how you actually make them visible. That's the more important part. How do you make them visible? And so now that you understand a little bit about this, let's go ahead and show you how to build the ecosystem. And by the way, this is a full guide that's inside of my paid program called the In-Demand Coach, which is inside of our School of Impact. And it's for coaches who want to be able to grow their businesses and run their stories, messages, and zone of geniuses. So if you want more info, let me know. So the strategic content ecosystem is the system behind the scenes that nurtures and converts your audience over time. Okay, it's not about just what you post, but when, why, and how it fits into the bigger sequence. Pay attention to this. From that moves people from I've never heard of you to I trust you to I'm ready to throw money at your face, fool. Right? And then think about it like an invisible funnel made of stories, insights, and CTAs. And so here's the image. And what I want you to think about really quick, like seriously, unless you're driving, close your eyes. Right? I'm not going to ask you to do anything weird, but close your eyes and imagine the Bermuda Triangle, right? Just imagine this massive thing that like apparently is invisible, but sucks in ships and airplanes and all kinds of things. And it's located between Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and Florida. Nobody can see it, but it invisibly pulls people in. This is exactly how I've designed my content ecosystem. It's something that is invisible, but that pulls people in. And so very top of funnel, we have what's called, I call it the tribe funnel just because I'm trying to build a tribe of 1,000 true fans always. And on that, we are running, and let me zoom in for you. We are running a content and cadence, which I'll unpack for you in just a second, and conversion content campaigns. And this is typically done on a Facebook profile or a Facebook group, an Instagram, or for those of you that like LinkedIn for whatever reason, we're not on the LinkedIn, but it's very top of funnel, POS. And we combine it with email. So we're taking our best content, usually 2, 3, 4 times a week, and sharing that same content via email. Now we're structuring it with really good offers and call to actions at the bottom of the email, or sending people to strategic trainings or videos. And when you do this correctly, this can literally help you get way more inbound leads because you're getting way more eyeballs, and you'll like just having people add in email done correctly can help them book calls. And so all we're doing from our top of funnel is we want to build our list, and then we're just leveraging that list so we don't have to hope Mark Zuckerberg woke up today and was like, I'm feeling great, or I'm feeling like crap. I'm going to screw everybody. So when you're under 5 clients per month, those are the only two parts of the ecosystem you really need. You just want to focus on optimizing your top of funnel, and then you want to optimize your, you get these two. So this is a top of funnel, builds trust. This right here builds relationship and gives tons of value. And when you're over 5 clients per month, I like to add a long form channel like YouTube. Again, YouTube can build your list, right? If you look in the description right now of my YouTube video, if you're watching this on YouTube, you will be able to see that there's a link in my description or a couple links, and that allows you to either sometimes get something completely for free, no opt-in, but a lot of times I'll send you to a page that you can opt in, and I'm going to give you on the other side of that page tons of value so I can build trust with you and I can build a relationship with you through my email, right? That is how it works. And the thing with YouTube is a study that Google and Meta has echoed this in a little bit of a different way, but they both have basically said that the average consumer needs to consume 7 hours of content from a brand before they're ready to make a purchasing decision. And so if all you're doing is like posting reels and short captions or written posts on Facebook or whatever, it takes a lot because there's only a small percentage of your audience that's going to ever see each individual post. Even if a post goes viral, it's very rare, but a lot of times a viral post attract unideal clients. So it's still, you're getting very few actual ideal clients to see your content every time you post. And so this is where long form comes into play. So even if like you're under 5 clients per month, I'll teach a lot of my clients to leverage like Facebook to just do live videos. But my Instagram people, I typically teach them how to set up a very simple YouTube funnel so that they can drive their Instagram people via stories to watch their YouTube videos. And when you do these videos correctly, it allows you to be able to build massive trust with people because you're giving tons of value. People can binge watch your videos and they can spend lots of time with you. And this is how I've had literally people enter my world. They become a friend on Facebook or a follower on Instagram. They will dive into my YouTube videos or my podcast. And they'll, next thing I know, they binge watch 7-8 episodes. And now they're hitting me up into DMs on their own accord saying, Jason, how can I work with you? And this is all within sometimes 48 to 72 hours. That's the power of having great long-form content. So this makes the ecosystem, again, invisible. I don't know who's watching videos or listening to podcasts. I don't know who's consuming content. You could see who's reading emails, but and then all of a sudden, when you start to run campaigns top of funnel via email, you've got way more people that are responding to your call to actions, right? This is how the ecosystem works. And all we're doing the entire time is we're driving new leads from our top of funnel, like Facebook or Instagram. We're moving them into what I call a micro win offer, which is like a new school lead magnet. I think I may have done a video on somewhere around here on this. And then let me zoom out for you for a minute. And then we move people into our content cadence, which I'm going to unpack for you in just a minute. Once a month, usually, we run a content campaign. And I'll explain a little bit more in a second. And then we have our conversion system, right? So this moves people from cold. Our content and campaigns warm people up. And then we get people hot, fiery hot with our conversion system. And I have something called core conversion content. This is like a new school. I call it a micro VSL. Just a short video that we get people to watch when they're in our conversion process. So you want to know what level you are. This is always step number 1. Is knowing what level you are. And so if you're level 1, you just gotta be able to put the reps in. So typically if you're under 5 clients a month, the whole goal for you should just be to dial in your messaging, like knowing what words to say that match where your market's at and being able to build trust with your audience. And so if you focus on one avatar, you post more to test what messaging works. And again, I just did a whole video on how to come up with what we call your magic message. This is the number one thing. Your message is the 5% that's going to produce 95% of the results for you. Super important to be able to get down. You want to have one main channel like Facebook or Instagram plus email. You want to talk to a lot of humans when you're earlier on. If you're not yet getting 5 clients a month, like you don't need to DM hundreds of people a day, but you do want to talk to lots of people to figure out what they want. This is going to help you dial in your messaging in your content. You want to learn your voice and message just through action. The more action you take, the more you're going to learn your voice. And you want to start building what I call your tribe funnel, right? This is your profile, your content, your email list, what I call your 1,000 true fans. You don't need millions of people. You have just 1,500, like I mentioned, 500 to 1,000 people. You can have a lot of revenue in your business. Level 2 is what I call leverage and authority. This is once you're getting 5 to 10 new clients a month, your content will the system will look a little different. The main goal here is building leverage now and deeper connection. So this is less content, but higher quality, right? You want better quality now. You want to use your main social channel and email, except now we're adding that YouTube or podcast. You typically here you'll hire help. You'll have a VA helping you. You'll have an editor, and you're focusing on leverage, not just effort. And then the last one, this is more omnipresence and scale. This is what you might see people like Alex Hormozi or like these much bigger brands. They're multiplying their presence. They're growing their list. They're expanding their brand. They're all over the platforms. They're more of a media company, not just a coach. I see a lot of coaches trying to do this when they're earlier on. They're not even getting 10, 15 clients a month, and they're trying to become so omnipresent, and they're literally chasing multiple rabbits and they're catching none. And so once you master level 1, like all successful people master level 1 and 2 before they ever try to go to 3. Step 2 is you want to build your weekly content cadence. There's 4 types of content that make up what I call a content rhythm. There's connection content. This is what attracts people to you. People like them. And so when you share your personal stories, your lifestyle, your beliefs, and your deepest convictions, it's going to connect with people. So important to be able to do this. You've got influence content. This is going to shift beliefs, bust myths. It's going to show people a new way. I like to think about this as mob content, where you're speaking to mistakes, objections, and limiting beliefs, and you are telling stories or shifting people's perspectives around that content, right? I often talk about how in fitness, I used to teach people, or I used to talk against just eating healthy, and I would teach people how to eat right. I would shift people's beliefs in the perspective into how it's important to eat right. Then there's authority, right? Teach framework, share insights, demonstrate expertise, show social proof. Then there's conversion, right? Have great call to actions, your offers, promoting workshops, things like that. The goal here is to hit all 4 of these psychological triggers. This gets trust, resonance, clarity, and desire when you hit all of these. And then once a month, usually once or twice a month, you're going to run a conversion content campaign, right? How this looks is where you have a few strategic posts that all have the same message, right? Awesome hook, great angle, great call to action, and you're driving people to some type of masterclass, workshop, promotion, something. And again, the hook, the positioning that you have on this and the call to action is what's going to make or break that. So usually once or twice a month you do this. Once or twice a month, you just stay consistent with your content. Now, again, the secret that makes content work is your messaging. If you are not saying the right words in the right way, in the right order, like having a great hook, a great story, a great call to action to the right people, none of it matters, right? So getting your messaging dialed in is absolutely key. And then, you have again, we already talked about channels. And so in this doc, I have plenty of examples. I have examples of a very simple cadence that you can run between these. I have my 5-post swipe file in here that you can feel free to have that download. It gives you plenty of examples of everything. That way, if you're visual, you could see all of the examples and the full strategy is in here. And then again, step 3, you want to run these campaigns. And so I've already explained how to do this. And when you do this right, it's going to help you build up a consistent flow of warm leads that you can have DMs and meaningful conversations with, book them onto calls, and you can create sales predictably when you master this stuff. Here's an example. I'm not going to go into all of this today. So lastly here, just some bonus content creation tips for you. This will 10x your content performance. So the mindset and the message is key. You've got to speak your truth. Like authenticity is going to win every single time. So don't try to fake it. Don't try to speak somebody else's message. Just be you. Speak your truth. Focus on service. It's not about you. It's about solving problems for people. And don't chase attention. Create transformation. Look, I'm going to be honest. Like years ago, back in 2018, I bought I hired this like company to do shout outs for me and they got me a bunch of fake followers. I was so ignorant to the fact that was a thing and I was chasing attention. And dude, that hurt me so bad. Like I had to spend so much time getting rid of those followers. Stop chasing attention, stop trying to go viral and focus on creating transformation in people. Communication and copy. Your hooks, your story, your call to actions. This is your power trio. Like when you can nail these three things, your content is going to become so much more powerful. Go from how, instead of just being how to, right? Lead with how I or how my client. Lead with more personal or social proof. It's going to become more powerful. Use client language, not just expert jargon. This is part of having really good messaging, is matching what the market already is saying and it's already in their head. And speak to values and identity, not just problems. Video is everything, guys. Like the better you can get on camera, the better you're going to do, right? I typically like to test before I go into launching something or doing a long workshop and putting all this time and energy into it. I typically test with shorter content like stories or short form posts. And then I'll maybe test out a medium form post, see how it does. And the things that I see resonating, I'll create videos like this on, or I'll create workshops. Document over create, right? Show what you're doing. Demonstration works way better than just telling people, right? The more you can demo. Performance and practice. Study copywriting, man. This is a money-making skill. Deliver real value, right? Track metrics. Don't just trust your emotions. It's part of it, but track metrics too. Be bold, not just vanilla. Take a stance against something. Stay consistent because repetition builds trust. And your energy matters more than your words. Too much prep is stale, but if you only wait for inspiration, you'll be inconsistent. And obsess over your ideal client. Again, content is about what you create, but it's also like you creating something that's going to solve real problems and provide useful value. The more you obsess over your ideal client and know them better than they know themselves, the more they're going to want to work with you. That's a bit on my strategic content ecosystem and then some. Hopefully this really helps. You can study this video multiple times and go out there and take action. Identify what content level you're at. If you haven't already, pick your channel, go all in on it. And I want you to get out there and I want you to start creating more resonant content today. All right. As always, have an amazing day. Love, peace, and chicken grease.